Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and I work with a lot of patients, but specifically, my patients are men. Not all of them, but most of them. A lot of them are insecurely attached, but not all of them are. But I did notice a pattern with almost all of them. And this may be just my specific caseload or caseloads, because it's even previously before, is that I notice that breakups do, in fact, hit men harder typically. And I think that's a common question. Do breakups hit men harder? And I would say yes, mostly, but that's just based on my experience. And I kind of wanted to bring up points as to why. And I want to preface that this is just my experience. I also want to say that this does not necessarily mean that every single guy will be completely devastated if you break up with them, or if you're a guy, it doesn't mean that you won't get over it. That's not what I'm saying. I just have noticed some patterns, and this may be helpful for someone to understand yourself or your partner or your ex, just to kind of know what's really going on. And the last reason that I'm going to bring up, it may ruffle some feathers, but I just want to be completely direct and honest, because I think it really highlights the foundation of why breakups actually hit men harder, even though people might not necessarily like it when I say it. But I just want to be honest with you, okay? So the first reason is men are discouraged from showing signs of emotion, including emotional attachment. And so what is a breakup? It's losing an emotional attachment. And so by showing signs that it's painful, they unfortunately, to them, it may be perceived as weakness that they showed that emotion. So it's much better for them to suppress it, even deny that it exists. So that's the first reason. They're discouraged from showing emotions. That's why breakups hit them harder, because they're not really processing it, right? So because they're discouraged, they're not really understanding what's going on. The second one is, on top of that, men tend to have less outlets to cope with their feelings, because a lot of the bonds that they create in their life, basically because they tend to not really express their emotions, a lot of their bonds are not emotionally, they don't have an emotional foundation. Their best friend might be their neighbor when they were 3 years old, and they're both in their 30s now. They kind of hang out and talk. Maybe they play pool together or basketball or whatever they're doing, but they don't really open up or connect emotionally. And so they don't really have outlets where they can go to and reach out, especially because they may feel discouraged. So that's very important. The next one is men tend to deny or suppress how beneficial the relationship was to them. So this is a little different from hiding emotions. This is that they genuinely don't like to admit that the relationship actually meant something, even during the relationship, right? And so a lot of men, it's really hard to admit that they relied on somebody, because men want to be independent. It's really difficult to accept that this relationship meant something. So throughout the entire relationship, he may have been dodging the depth of his true feelings. And now that this partner is gone, he has to face these feelings in the forefront of his mind. He can't avoid it any longer. And it's very, very challenging. And so that's why it hits him so hard. And he's still suppressing it. And so he's never processing. He never admitted that he really wanted this relationship. He really cared about this person. He really loved this person. And now they're gone. And all of that is hitting him at once. That's a lot to process. It's very difficult. Sometimes it takes years. I have had patients for years, they cannot get over their partner. They're single for years. They keep jumping from relationship. They just cannot accept that they lost this person. And it's really, really difficult. This one, I think it's becoming less common as awareness is becoming more prevalent, but this is still is, I think, is important to admit. Men are often less aware of emotions in general and their moods of their partner as well as them. And so they may not realize their partner was unhappy, which is why if she's the one that left, he's blindsided. So that can be very painful, because he thought that this relationship was fine and then she or he left him and he's devastated. That can be really, really scary to a partner. On top of that, if he's the one that left, he may have left for logical reasons, and then he realized emotionally it was worth saving, and now he's walked out, and now he doesn't know what to do about it. There was a lot of emotions that he ignored, maybe hers and his, and now he's realizing if he just paid more attention to those things, he could have saved the relationship, and it feels too late, and it's very overwhelming and really hurtful for him. And so that's another reason. The next one, and I'm almost done, and I had mentioned the last one is really important, but this one's important too, that men tend to struggle with perceived failure. And by losing a relationship, that is a perceived failure on his part. And subconsciously, he blames himself. There's a part of him that knows maybe he could have done better, or maybe he was stubborn and he kind of wishes he wasn't. And admitting that the relationship is gone and that he failed it and that he cared about it, it really hurts him. And so he suppresses this a lot. Even during the relationship, as I had mentioned, he's suppressing that the relationship was valuable. And so it's hitting him all at once. And on top of that, there's a lot of men who want to get their partner back, but in order to do so, he's got to admit maybe his faults, and that can be really hard for him. So it's hitting him a lot harder because he lost something that he could have had if he had just changed or fixed himself. So it's also the failure part that's really hitting him. So this is the last point, and I had mentioned that this may come as a shock to a lot of people, both men and women, and I don't know if either side will really like this, but I think it's true, and I think this will be helpful if people could hear and understand what's really going on. From what I notice, I could be wrong, is that men tend to hold more meaning of his relationship once he finally commits. In general, men are not as fond of commitment as women are. And often men may even perceive commitment and love as a bad thing. And so the fact that he did commit, it means that it's very valuable to him. He put his walls down a lot. He probably gave this person a lot. He changed a lot. It might not look like it, but even a partner being there might be a lot for some men. He changed a lot. And women, not all of them, tend to romanticize and expect relationships in life. Men didn't, not as much. So having a relationship is like sometimes men think it might be even a miracle. They might not admit it, but like if it's a beautiful one, not a painful one, because he's already expecting relationships to be painful. The fact that it was beautiful and that he felt happy in it is amazing. It's something that he would never have expected because preemptively he thought relationships might be not so beneficial. And he gave himself to this person. He sacrificed. There was probably many days where he made a lot of changes that maybe wasn't entirely noticed or maybe not as a parent. And he gave himself to this person. And so he felt very deeply. And so a lot of women, when they leave a relationship, they're thinking about the fundamentals of the relationship itself. And they feel that that can be replaced with another partner who might be able to give her what he couldn't. But the man is not thinking necessarily about the fundamental of the relationship. He's thinking about the partner. And replacing a person is a lot harder than replacing what a person can give. And I'm not saying women don't care about men genuinely. That's not what I'm saying. But I do notice men tend to be more attached to the person themselves. This person, this is the person. I've had some patients that say, like, she was a unicorn. I'll never find anybody like that. Like, she gave me everything. She was patient with me. She understood me. And this is like 5 years later and single for years. Like this is, and that is not just one patient. Many men have described it like that. Unicorn, miracle, 1 in a million. And that is very painful to let go of and accept. And it's hard because he was attached to her as a person, not the relationship, but her, and she's no longer here. So that was, and it doesn't always have to be her. I'm just saying that because of the examples. These are just things that I wanted to bring up and kind of share. I hope this was helpful to somebody. Please subscribe, like, and leave a comment below, and I will see you in the next one.